JeffersonRogers podcast. Thanks, everybody, for checking in. We got a special guest today with us, Mr. Bobby Rones. And really, you got a good story, man.
Cool.
I'm excited about this show.
Yeah.
Just to hear a little bit more. We've known each other for a little while now.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that you keep to yourself.
Well, I just walk around and people and be like, hey, here's all the trauma. There you go. Yeah.
No, I mean, but, you know, I feel like we've gotten to know each other pretty well.
Yeah.
And we don't normally go around just sharing all of our deep, dark secrets.
Right.
So this is a chance to share some more of that, which I'm sure you've had a chance to do with some people on some different platforms. But you got a story that's impressive, where you came from, where you're at today, and what you're trying to do with it, and the message that you're trying to bring is important to get out to people, because if you got a story, it's worth telling it, and there's people out there that can benefit from it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about today. We got a cool show planned for you. It is March 10th, 2021, and it is a beautiful Wednesday. So to start things off, Bobby Rones, tell us a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about, okay, so here's the recent history, right? So
Sure.
3 years ago, almost 600 pounds, so fat, I had to weigh myself on a frickin' industrial shipping scale at a manufacturing company.
So what was the absolute most that you ever got to then?
I don't know. I know I saw a 565 on that shipping scale.
565.
I'm pretty sure I closed in on 6. There comes a point when you like, why do you gonna look? Like, you know? Yeah. And it was gnarly. I couldn't hardly walk. Right. It was intense. And then decided to get after it. Decided to turn it around. Now, I have done that once before, but only went part way down the journey. Didn't have some of my other stuff figured out. Had a lot of other things going on.
So yeah, I want to kind of touch on both of those journeys. Like, what halted you on the first one, and what jump started you into the second one, and where you're at with it now, and how much further along you got, and why.
Yeah. All right. So okay, let's back up and talk about the first one for a minute.
Let's do it.
The first one, my high, I think was. I don't think it was 550. I think my high was like 525 or something. It wasn't as bad.
The first time.
Okay. And, I was up in Spokane, and I just decided, there was this chick in my life, and I was like, look, that's going to be part of it. Because, you're like, am I going to impose this bullshit on another person? Mm-hmm. Right? And so, I started with juice fasting. And that was awesome. Dude, I understand now that part of the juice fast was I was going into ketosis now.
Yeah.
Right? And so my energy went through the roof, to a point where I couldn't sit down at that job anymore. A job I picked because I could sit down.
Yeah.
Right? And then I was like, here's my 2 weeks, I got to go. And I'm moving back to St. George and, taking a new job offer. And so when I got here...
and it was ketosis, but you didn't even know what that was at the time.
No, not really. No. Because I was just waking up, drinking, this vegetable juice that I made that just tasted awful. Everyone tries to make it good by putting sugar and shit, putting apples.
Kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah, I'm like, I know sugar has more calories, so we're going to stick with kale and celery and spinach and so... That's all I had for a minute. And when I came back down here, I kind of came off a little bit because, welcome home, barbecues and everything else, right?
Yeah. Let's celebrate.
Yeah. And then I got involved with a nutrition supplement group type deal.
Okay.
Great people. I like them. But everything revolved around... These are how we're going to lose weight. This is how we're going to use your story to sell the thing, and that's fine and all, right? But I took a new job at a company where I was working my way into management, potential ownership again. A guy that I had owned a piece of company before, and we just couldn't get it ironed out. We just couldn't. That chick came down here with me, and she was, right? And so that went south. The job went south. Like, we're telling people, hey, if we don't put this much numbers up today, we're closing the doors, right? And after that, I was like, let's just go hit the drive-through, you know, like, and so.
Going back to some old patterns.
Yeah. Now, and during that time, I had lost about 100 pounds, right?
So juice fasting.
No, so juice fasting was the beginning, and then I
it
switched
led
over
into the
and was
nutrition
doing
plan.
the nutrition shakes, right? And
Okay.
then like 1 meal a day type of deal.
But
right?
100 pounds is a big deal.
Yeah, but you also have to understand, because of my craziness. Okay, my default setting is that's not enough, that doesn't count, that, right?
Sure.
So I'm at 100 pounds, and I'm like, and what? And what? Like, you know what I mean? So
Still
like,
got a long ways to go.
Yeah. And then when I put it all back on, like, and listen, you have to be aggressive. Like that, dude, overeating's my first drug addiction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's hard to explain to people. Like, right before this last go where I started taking the weight off again, I could actually, like, I went and bought a bunch of takeout one day, and I'm like eating it like compulsively, and I could just feel the dopamine flow. I was like, I'm so high right now, right?
This is
like,
incredible.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, this is a real problem, right?
Yeah. Wow.
And that started the shift because I could feel that, right?
Like the first time you're aware enough to
Yeah.
understand what was going on.
Yeah. And,
Oh, wow.
And so now I get real careful. Like if I have some emotional thing that hits real hard, then I'm like, okay, let's be real careful where this thing goes.
That's some strong self-awareness, because you know the path that can lead down really quickly.
Yeah. And look, dude, like, you know, I spent like 1.5 years with meth, right? So like,
That help you lose any weight?
no, not like I hoped it would. Not like I hoped it would.
When you're all fucked up on meth, you don't eat or sleep.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it did a little bit, but it's not like I was weighing and checking in on everything, right? You know, you're just
1.5 years, I think
just scrapping along. Yeah,
that's crazy.
yeah. So, hold on, I lost my train of thought for a second.
Sorry, I can get off on the tangents too. And
Good.
I'll take you off path.
So, like, look, cake, I'm like, that might as well be meth. It might as well.
What kind of cake?
Any fucking cake. If I have
Put it in front of me.
If I mess with that shit, it can go down the path.
Yep.
Right? So it's like, I'm out. And I just accept that I'm out basically forever, except for a few specially cooked items or whatever. And even then, like, let's be real careful.
So is cake for you now like off the menu? Like if it's near, you've got to separate yourself and you can't have it and you don't allow yourself to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I can sit in front of it. I could watch you have it. I could smell it. You know, like I don't give a shit now, but it took me a minute to develop that place in my mind. Right?
Because the same thing, it's like that for me and alcohol. For a long time, if there was alcohol anywhere, if anybody's even thinking about drinking, I'm all in. And I'm drinking until the sun comes up or until we're out.
Right.
So now you've got to have a pretty strong shift in your mind to be able to control that and to be able to be around it and still be able to associate and have fun and love people as they're doing it.
Yeah, so early on in this last getting into the journey, when I was mostly just doing light exercise and all nutrition, because I had my nutrition dialed in tight. And dude, sales floors, right? They're always incentivizing people. Let's bring in cakes or whatever. Like
donuts,
your
cake.
stuff is good out here. Like you got like sausages, like safe stuff.
We
right?
we got some healthy treats out here.
So, but no, they had like a plate of cookies, and I'd walk by these cookies like 4 or 5 times, right? And finally, I was just like, I want them so bad that I literally, like a crazy person, walked over, stared the plate of cookies down, and out loud to the cookies in a public place was like, "Fuck you, cookies. I'll decide."
I'll decide.
And that was a big shift for me. That like And so now it's much better because now it's almost like, really? Fuck you, I'll decide, right? Almost like a
100%.
fight, you know?
Yep.
So.
And I took it to the extreme, too, when I was I had to quit smoking cigarettes.
Okay.
I smoked since I was like 13 years old.
Yeah.
By the time I was 23, I'm smoking 2 packs a day like a complete degenerate, smoking everybody else's cigarettes around me. Bro, you got a cigarette?
Yeah.
Like asking people in Vegas.
Yeah.
Just walking by someone, bro, can I borrow a cigarette?
Yeah.
Just like I felt like a complete dirtbag.
Right.
So the last weekend I smoked cigarettes, I go down there partying with my friends, smoke 2 packs that last day. Just like sick to my stomach. And I'm always like, got one in my mouth like this, and it's smoking in my nose. And there was a couple times I'd have to take it out and just go, just a gag real quick, and then back to smoking. It was a disgusting habit.
Yeah.
And I finally my dad had a conversation with me out on the back porch. He caught me on the back porch smoking a cigarette. And he's trying to slap it out of my hand. I was like, fuck, I'm almost done. Hold on.
Yeah.
And now I've got that same habit. Like, if I see anybody smoking, I'm trying to slap it out of their hand.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't need that shit.
Yeah.
But he told me that day, I said, it's tough. I want to quit, but it's just, it's hard.
Yeah.
And he says, are those cigarettes tougher than you are?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it wasn't very long after that I finally quit, and I had to start hating it. Like the smell, if you're smoking, if I can smell it on your clothes. And, I had to, for a while there, it was pretty brazen, like talking shit on people and telling them, get that fucking smelly shit out of here. And I was able to tone it down after a while once I developed a little confidence in myself. But, I imagine it's kind of similar to that same type of conversation you're having with yourself. Like it's got to go to one extreme.
Yeah.
From the other.
Yeah. Now, I'm okay with other people in general, depending. Right? There's people out there that they don't have metabolic issues. They can live their whole life eating ice cream and shit and whatever, right?
Oh, 100%, dude.
But then, dude, the people that I'm trying to help the most, right? People that are obese, like, they're fucked. Like, they're going to have to give up on it. This whole idea of, like, having a little bit, cheat meal, like, get the shit out of your life for, like, a year.
And just have to come to terms with it.
Broccoli and chicken for, like, a year and just be like, delicious food is not a part of my life right now, like any other fucking drug, right? And then after a while, then maybe you'd be all right. Like, I can't. Like,
that's the trap, though, man. When I first quit drinking, was the same thing.
Yeah.
I said, fuck it, I'm quitting until I'm 40 years old, and then I'll celebrate or something.
Yeah.
But then over the next couple of years, like just the thought of going back and getting as deep in as I was with alcohol scares me so bad.
Yeah.
That it just turned into never again.
Yeah.
I can't ever do it again.
Yeah.
Because I'm such a fucking shit show.
Yeah.
When I am drinking or when I allow myself to have those substances in my life, I don't know how to go part-time. I don't know how to drink socially.
Right.
I am all in motherfucker.
Yeah. Like, what is this halfway shit that people do in their life?
Yeah.
Like,
I see people do it all the time.
Yeah.
They're like, I just drink occasionally.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's part of why I think I was talking to somebody at work the other day, and we were talking about recruiting. I was like, let's go get us some drug addicts, right? Like, in all seriousness, like, reform drug addicts,
because they're serious about their shit.
whatever it is you're going to do, you're going to go hard, right? So, like, I just don't understand how people kind of live in the middle, you know? Because I just don't. Like, everything I do, I'm typically going
And
hard.
we're not, the thing is we're not supposed to understand it.
Yeah.
Because we are the way that we are.
Yeah.
God made us this way. And we still have to love everybody else the way that they are.
Right.
Because I went a long time and I burned some relationships and I burned people and I made things sour because, I mean, until you have that awareness, you just like push your will onto people. Like, why can't you be like me? Why can't you just go all out?
Oh, about a month ago, I was running around with fucking gasoline and lit road flares, just lighting everything on fire. So, yeah, I get that. Now I'm like,
it takes time to develop that and to allow people to be themselves and just love them the way that they are.
Yeah.
And all the best you can do is just have an influence on them and let them make. It's going to have to be them making the decision on their own.
Yeah, I realize. Yeah, I just have to let go and lead by example most of the time, right? Even like
plant the seeds.
Yeah, and some people I tell them I'll give them coaching, but man, as soon as I feel the bullshit come up, it's like, Okay.
Yep. You're not ready.
I'll be here. I'll be here as
Yep.
long when you stop lying to yourself. Like, that's okay. Because the first time I was just like, you know.
Just
like,
trying to pound it down their throat.
Like that doesn't work. So.
No. It does not work. So, first time, 100 pounds.
Yeah.
How long between the first time and when you started going back out to fast food before you
10
got
years.
it reeled back in?
10 years.
10 more years.
Yeah. So it was like 2010-ish was when I lost that first 100. Dude, I put it back quick. Like, pretty quick. And
back up, that's when you were back up to over 500 pounds.
Yeah.
And 565 was the most you ever remember being at.
That's the most I seen on a scale, right?
But the chances are you think you got higher.
Well, I mean, look, I would have to. I'm amazed at, like, when I lift weight now. I'm like, holy shit! How did I carry that around?
Yeah.
Right. But so, like, to go
wild.
from my room, I would stand up and then walk to the kitchen. But halfway there is the front room. So let's sit down there and catch our breath. Yeah, no shit. Let's catch our breath, right? And then go again. Now, I had developed panic attacks because I was drinking distilled water. Now, if you know much about, like, electrolytes and stuff, like, it's going to flush that out. And if you're low on potassium, then your heart's going to be like, it's going to feel weird, right?
Start getting the jitters.
Yeah, even worse, like, it's in the chest. And because my dad died of a heart attack in front of me, I'm like, oh, I'm going to die now, right? And so I go to the doctor, and the doctor's like, hey, man, let's go ahead and go get your heart checked out. Let's go do the thing where you, like, run on a treadmill or whatever. I call them up, and they're like, how much do you weigh? Yeah, good luck with that. So, like, you need to be under this weight. So
yeah, our test doesn't work until
like,
you're under this weight.
Yeah, I'm like, I think I'm going to die of a heart attack pretty soon. And they're like, all right, well, hopefully that doesn't happen, basically. You know, like.
Bastards.
Like, so, I got it under control because I realized what was there. But then that sparked the anxiety, and then I didn't leave my house for, like, a couple years and shit. Well, like, a little bit, but not much. Like.
Just to go get some McDonald's?
To go buy groceries. Right? Yeah. So, and then. Because this last bit of getting back on the journey is not just the exercise and the food. I mean, fuck, it was me even leaving my house.
Yeah.
Dude, my first walkout, and it's in the beginning of my Instagram, I think, I walk, like, past the next door neighbor and was like, oh my God. And
people out here.
Yeah, and I look and I'm like, it's right there. It's right there. Why is that scary, right? And then the next time I went and did 0.6 of a mile inside Costco because I'm like, I can walk in Costco. That's not scary to me. I go to Costco all the time, right?
Wow.
So I went to get groceries and just, like, walked around the inside. And then, like, my back was just, like, so sore, right? Well, I understand now that I'm doing this, which I hadn't done, right? And then I finally got up to where I could do a lap in front of my house and shit. And now the anxiety's gone. Like, the panic attacks are basically gone. But, yeah, that was
Just building that confidence of being out into the real world again.
Yeah, what happens is when you feel that sensation, you got to, like, remind yourself that it's not imminent death, right? Like, I'm just dizzy. I'm just. And... Dude, taking your heart rate to where you're like, like, on purpose from lifting weights or doing whatever, that reminds you that shit's all right. Like, you can push, you can go way
push
harder.
it pretty hard.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can rejuvenate your body in a fairly short period of time when you're doing the right things. And you got a healthy diet, and you're drinking water, and you got positive mindset going on. The power of the mind is pretty powerful.
Yeah. It's huge.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people have trouble with that. It's like, you gotta rein in your thoughts.
So what are you down to now then?
Last I weighed was 340.
340.
Yeah.
Recently?
Yeah. And I'm hovering at 340 for, like, basically since I started working out at the gym again.
Yeah.
But, like, I see in the mirror that I'm shrinking. So I'm not beating myself up too much, right? And I'm putting it, so I'm like, yeah, it's muscle mass, I'm sure.
How tall are you?
5'11".
5'11". So you're trying to get down below 250.
220 is when I'm going to reevaluate.
220.
Yeah. I mean,
that's an incredible goal, dude.
I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be.
5'11"?
Yeah.
So if you're 5'11", I'm 5'11". I think I'm actually 6 foot. I thought I was 5'11" my whole life. My wife says, I think you're 6 foot.
Okay.
So I think I'm 6 foot. But I'm right now 205 pounds.
Okay.
So
and you're lean as hell right now,
we're very
right?
similar. Yeah, very lean. But this is, I mean, the most consistent, heaviest that I've ever been. I'm usually right around 190, 185.
Really? Okay.
But I put on a lot of muscle. I'm preparing for a physique show. So I've leaned way down, but I've also put on a lot of muscle. So I think at 5'11" and 220 pounds, that would give you a pretty good picture of where you still need to go. So 220 is going to be, I mean, that's less than half of what you used to weigh.
I know, dude. Yeah.
That's incredible.
I'm 2/3. So that's what I have to remind myself. I'm like, 100 more pounds would put me at 240, right? And I'm like, I've already done that 3 times. So I can do that.
100 more pounds.
Yeah.
You've already done 100 pounds a couple times.
Yeah.
And right now you're down 225 pounds from your original highest known weight.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean.
So now, what were you going to say?
I just compare myself to other people that go hard as hell.
Fuck
too.
that, dude. Don't do that to yourself.
Okay.
What my motto is, because everybody falls into that trap at one point or another, and it's a dangerous trap because all you should be comparing yourself is the best version of yourself.
Right, right.
So yesterday, I did enough to get better, so I'm a better version today, and I'm doing the same thing today.
Yeah.
And if you look at it like that, you're making progress every single day, and you're doing the right things. You're going to the gym, you're eating right, you're hanging out with positive people, so you have the positive content, the books, the podcasts, the people, which is helping with all of those other things that you're trying to accomplish.
Yep.
And then having those targets in front of you, like 220 pounds is a fantastic target. Now, have you gone as far as to what does it look like reverse engineering 220 pounds?
Oh, how do I get there?
Yeah.
I don't really know. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because it seems to be working. Right?
So I challenge you to do that, though. Like, write 220 pounds on the notepad.
Yeah.
And then reverse engineer, like, what you're going to have to do from 220 pounds backwards.
Okay.
And you could do it. I mean, you've done it in 1 year before. 100 pounds.
Yeah.
So you could do it again. By next year at this time, you could be sitting at 220 pounds, and we're having a new conversation about now you got new goals, like leaning up, putting on muscle.
I do have a personal goal right now of doing this next 100 pounds in 200 days. But, like, I don't talk about it a lot because I don't want people being like, that's unhealthy, that. Like, shut up. Like,
that's great, though.
I know what I'm doing.
It's great because that's when I've always been able to accomplish the most is when I'm not keeping my goals to myself and there's no accountability. There's nobody that knows whether or not I'm going to keep it.
It has to be only people that are like, oh, that's crazy, but you can do it.
It's fucking awesome.
Right?
Let's go.
Yeah. But there's so many other people that want to just be like, that's impossible. What are you doing? Like,
there's always going to be the naysayers. Whenever you're trying to do something out of the ordinary and closer to extraordinary for what most people's minds are capable of thinking, they're always going to try and drag you down to their level.
Yep.
That's just the way life is. I got a lot of that early on when I was starting to go hard.
And they're trying to save you. They are trying to save you from your own disappointment or whatever, but it's like, I've got this.
But it's a lot of their own fears, too, coming up. Like, you know, I don't know. It sounds challenging. I would never see myself doing that.
Yeah.
But there's no question in my mind that you can do it and that you will do it. But when did the 200 days start? Is it today? Because I'll hold you accountable.
No, yesterday. Yesterday.
Yesterday. Oh, my God. This is perfect timing, dude.
Yeah.
So 200 days from yesterday, I'm going to set in my calendar, and I'm going to help you count it down.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because we're at the gym every morning together anyways.
Yeah.
Because I've got 94 days left until my physique show, and I'm going hard on those 94 days. It's going into my first show. I'm going to go into 4 categories. I'm going all out on this thing. And I'm going to put in the work, and I've got a coach at the gym. I got a coach for my show prep, and I'm going to give myself every chance to go in there and win the very first show that I ever do, so I can check it off the box and go find something else to do.
Right, yeah. There is something about just stacking up wins, too.
There is, man.
Yep.
Builds confidence.
Yep. Yeah.
I did the same thing last year when I was going to do my first motocross race in like 8 years.
You did a motocross race?
Yeah.
Oh, damn, dude.
So before I started seeing you at the gym, I'd started working out with Jordan and didn't really have any targets. I'd played around with the idea of doing one of the physique shows, but that was too far off. Like the eating and the letting go of my ice cream was like too difficult at that time. But I always wanted to go back and do this race called the Rhino Rally.
Oh, I know Rhino Rally.
So, yeah, they do it almost every year unless there's a COVID bullshit going on. But February of 2020, there was a Rhino Rally. And the year before, like a month before the Rhino Rally, I'm like, I'm going to do the Rhino Rally. And they were sold out. And I was like, oh, phew, I wasn't prepared anyways. So the next year, it was on my radar all year long. So when August hit, I was like, dude, I got 6 months left to start preparing for this thing and wrapping my mind around what it's going to take so I don't end up like I was last time, getting done with the race and laying on the ground and having to get IVs and like my body's shutting down.
Because of dehydration and
dehydration.
Yeah.
And heat and just overexertion and trying to go balls to the wall the first 20 minutes of a 2-hour race. And I just wiped myself out. I'm surprised I even made it.
What kind of bike?
I was riding a 2005 CRF 450.
Okay.
So it was a little outdated now. It was the same bike that I rode back in 2011 when I did the race. But I went all in on it, dude. Originally, I didn't go all in, actually, because I was like, I'm going to get a top 5. You know, I'm going to get way more prepared than I was last time. I just don't want to be laying on the floor getting an IV. The last month of preparation, though, I went all in. I was like, fuck that, top 5. I'm going all in. I'm going to win this thing. And so I was riding more, putting in more cardio, doing more time at the gym. And I let everybody know what I was going to do. I was like, I'm going in to win this race. And I got a terrible start. My dad's got a video of me getting the start, and everybody takes off, and I got a kickstart bike, and I'm like, oh, shit. Trying to kickstart it. And luckily, the start, everybody gets bottlenecked, and I just go out in the weeds. And you can see me going around everybody. Everybody's like waiting for each other to go, and here I go around the entire group of people, and still had to pass a bunch of people, but I ended up winning.
There's a lot of metaphor. There's a lot of metaphor in the whole fucking pack, and you going on your own path. And dude, that does have a lot of metaphor that relates directly to my life. Yeah, like everything that I do seems like I'm going the opposite direction, or I'm on a different path than everybody, just to kind of be rebellious, I think. Yeah, I get that rebellious trait too. Yeah.
So for the next 199 days, I think it's important to have a really clear direction you're going with this thing.
Yeah, okay.
So I challenge you to put together that reverse engineered plan for the next 199 days. What does that look like? Because 220 pounds it's a huge accomplishment. But for you, with your kind of mindset and your dedication and the work that you're already putting in, you've got some momentum, and there's no doubt in my mind you can do that.
Oh, I see it this time. The other times I didn't quite. It was fuzzy. Even at the beginning. Like, in the beginning, you're engaging in pipe dreams on purpose.
Yeah.
Right? In the beginning, you're just like
Yeah.
envisioning and shit.
You're trying to build some confidence in yourself.
Yeah, like I would sit in my room in the darkness at night by myself and just like envision, right? Till like I'd tear up and shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
At being at the end,
Yep.
right? And
That's so powerful, man.
yeah, I didn't realize how much. So,
Yeah.
right? And now it's that oh my God, what do you call it? Visualization and manifestation.
Yes.
Now, it just happens in other goals,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I catch myself, and then I'm like, it just happened like last week. I was getting all weird, right? And I was like, why the fuck am I getting weird? I was like, oh, I was accident, like what could be perceived as daydreaming, right? But like at the end of the day, and I'm at this place 6 months down the road, which was way more fucking uncomfortable than any of the other shit that I've been doing. I was like, oh, I'm scared. I'm scared of this thing out here. Yep. It's fucking nuts how success is fucking scary. Like, you want it,
Yeah.
but also you're scared as fuck.
Yeah.
Right?
That's when you know you're on the right path. Because if you're not scared,
Yeah.
nothing worth having is going to be easy or comfortable.
Right. Yeah.
So you know you're on the right path when you're having that anxiety and that fear of taking that next step and what that next bunch of work looks like that you're going to have to do to take it to the next level. Mm-hmm. It's scary.
Yeah.
I mean, I've dealt with it multiple times over the last couple of years. Just
I can only imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, you got big stuff to accomplish, and
Yeah.
it's daunting, and I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I've got what it takes. You know, you got all this self-doubt that creeps in.
Yeah.
And you want to try and figure everything out before you pull the trigger on it. You got to overcome all that negative self-talk and all of your natural human tendencies to justify and to overanalyze and just go all in.
There's a lot of bullshit that goes on in your mind also about what you are. Your personal narrative, right? And so,
100%.
like, and that shit's been fucking hardwired by your family and society and all this shit.
Yep.
And then you're understanding that the farther away you go, the more successful you get in these different aspects of your life. You're changing. A part of you is dying. You're leaving a part, like, your old bullshit behind. And all this other stuff you're leaving behind, too. And that has its own set of fears and stuff that go with it, too. But God damn, it's worth it, right?
It is,
like,
man.
holy
100%.
shit, I wouldn't trade this last year for anything. These last 2 years, like, yeah.
2 years now you've been on this slow, consistent, steady climb.
December-ish of 2018, and then I let the pressure get to me around December 2019.
What triggered it?
Dude, I don't know. I don't know all of it exactly. Part of it was that fear I'm talking about, that moving to new thing. Part of it was also, dude, I tore up my lungs pretty good. Because, like...
With smoking out of a glass pipe?
No. No.
What was it?
From running upstairs early in the morning when the wind or the air was just...
When it's frigid.
Yeah. And like I said, I compare... Like, why am I comparing myself to Goggins, right? I'm just like, oh, that's what it's supposed to feel like. Just keep going, right? Until, like, I'm just coughing and hacking. The doctor's like, hey, stop doing all this shit for a little while and heal up, right?
Let yourself heal, yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, I was already... The panic attacks kicking back in. And so I came off the rails for like 3 months or so. No, December to early April. Thereabouts. Because right when COVID hit, dude, I gave myself permission to just go fucking hog wild. So
A lot of people did, man.
Yeah,
a lot of people did.
Like, I was eating ice cream, like, and like, to where I could feel the diabetes in my veins, like, oh, you know, like I feel so sick
That's scary,
afterwards.
dude.
Yeah,
Scary.
Like, this, I feel dizzy. This is not right. Well, whatever, it'll pass. Yeah.
Just drink some water. Chug it with some water.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but then I came back on, you know, like April-ish, and I came back more.
So now it's been almost a solid year.
Yeah. Yeah. And way more, like, my mind is way more there now.
Oh, dude, you've got all that other stuff that you've built on and built on and built on that you're going off of right now.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, how often do you think about how losing your dad has affected you?
Well, okay, so they told me early on. They're like, oh, you're feeding your feelings, blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
right.
Okay, well, like, nobody offered any counter advice. My mom, look, I love her, but she is, like, my family. My sister's bipolar as hell. Like, I don't know if you've ever been around people bipolar, but, like, mental illness is a thing. And, like, when they act crazy, you want to be mad at them, but also, like, they're being crazy. You know what I mean? And so my mom, she's got her stuff, and I'm only starting to realize all this shit that happened, right? So for sure it affected me because everything went, right? Like, okay, first of all, like, he died in front of me. That's like, I was holding his head, right? And so, like...
How old were you?
7.
7 years old.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, dude. My dad was like my biggest
Yeah.
hero when I was 7 years old.
But when things happen, at least for me, when things happen, I'm like, oh, I guess this is the new deal now, right? I don't usually sit with it. That comes later, right? Yeah. It's like, oh, here we go. Oh, okay. And then, like, 6 months later, she got that infection where her eyesight was jacked, right? Like, she went all the way blind for a minute because the infection made the outer layer opaque, so she couldn't see through it, right? And then there's the weirdness that happens with the parent who lost their significant other, doesn't have anything else going on in their life, and you're the oldest, and then there's certain parts of the role that start getting thrust on you, right? And when you're a kid and you're like, yay, I'm responsible, da-da-da, instead of being like, no, I should be a kid. That shit shouldn't have anything to do with me. I shouldn't be worrying about the household bills at all. Like, that's not my job, right? But you just go for the ride, right? So because I knew how to cook, because they taught me how to cook, right? Because it was a necessity for my family, right? And then I'm just like, well, I like eating, and there's nobody that's going to guide me, right? And so then I just went nuts. And then when she got her eyes back, there tried to be a transition of power to some extent, right? Being like, I'm the parent again. That's not coming back. Right? That's not. And so that's when I started, like, eating secretly and shit, like, you know.
Wow.
So, yeah, it had a massive impact for sure. But at the same time, that also molded me into all the other shit I get to do now.
Absolutely.
Right? Absolutely. Yeah.
You got an incredible story, man. Do you have any regrets?
Oh, well, see, that's a hard thing to say, man. Right? Like, look, the year and a half or so that I was a tweaker, I could regret that. I could.
Yeah. That's why I ask.
But what are all the lessons I took from it? There's 100%. No other ways to get those, right? Like, you know? So, yeah. No. I mean, because that doesn't do anything. You'll just take your lessons away.
Yep.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. I've lived a pretty colorful life.
Yeah.
For being 37 years old, I've accomplished a lot, but I've also experienced a lot of things and done some self-inflicted stuff to myself that, you know, not a lot of people do or get to experience and get to learn from. So that's why I ask, because, you know, I've gotten asked that question before too, you know, by family members and people that I know and love, because they got to see how colorful I was early on. Starting from a really early age, starting to get in trouble and going to jail and going to detention and stacking up. I used to keep all of my tickets that I got. I grew up here in St. George, and it seemed like I just got caught for everything. And at one point I was proud of it, and I kept all my tickets, and if people come over to my house, it's like, I got yellows and whites and pinks and counting them off. But it's... without those experiences, I'm not who I am today.
Yeah.
So to regret them doesn't do you any good. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Without being able to experience some hard things and difficult things and challenge yourself and have to, the courthouse right here, I spent a lot of time at this courthouse.
Yeah.
This used to be where the juvenile court was. And I had to go there and ride my bike there, and I had to make all the phone calls, and I had to make all the arrangements and pay all the fines and do all the community service, and never was late one time. And I paid thousands and thousands of dollars before I ever even turned 18.
Really?
Yep.
You were going hard when you were a kid, huh?
When I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yep. And without those experiences and learning that sense of responsibility for taking care of my own shit early on, I'm not who I am today.
Yeah.
No. So what about your relationship with your family now?
I don't have much.
No?
No. Like, my paternal family, look, you know, maybe you don't. Maybe you don't.
I don't know if
My name on a birth certificate's not Bobby Rones. Because fuck them. Right? Everything I'm going to do in my life is not going to be that name.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, my paternal family, nothing.
So, mom and brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I've got a sibling, a younger brother, and we're good. Like, We weren't for a long time because he had victim mentality. He didn't think he did, but he did. And he went and did some serious counseling work for like 2 years and course corrected. And one day I'm talking to him. He's like, and I learned this. And I was listening to Joe Rogan. I learned this thing about accountability and this thing. I was like, you finally got it. Wow. Oh, my God. Awesome. Yes. Right?
So this your blood brother.
Yeah.
Same parents.
My only sibling that is both parents. Right. And then my sister.
So where's your brother at then? Is he here?
He lives in Minnesota.
He's in Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did he end up there?
Riding the rails like a hobo.
No
Straight
kidding.
up. Crazy stories, dude. Like jumping on trains and shit. Like,
He ended up meeting the girl and.
Yep.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yep. Yep. And so him and her went and tried that riding the rails life, and that's where it landed him.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And so you got another sister, half sister?
Yeah. And that's
Half-sister.
the one who's bipolar. Look, I love her, but I can't talk to her. I can't. Like, I can't deal with the victim mindset shit.
Yeah.
I just can't.
She's still stuck in that.
She's
do you
never
talk to
gonna
your-
not be.
Do you talk to your brother then?
Yeah. I mean, we don't talk all the time, but yeah. I mean, look, I'm real busy and I'm real, like,
Yeah.
on.
This family, though, man. Family's so important.
Yeah. Yeah, I love him. He was just down, right? And so we have a good relationship. I'll fly up there when I can.
Awesome.
And then
So what's your birth name then?
I'll tell you offline.
Okay.
Part of it is I don't like. Look, I know that there's a potential where this can go as far as the public eye, right? And I just part of it's also not wanting to get doxxed and shit, right? Because so yeah.
I had no idea that Bobby Rollins was not your birth name. Because I'm proud of my name. It's also my dad's name.
Yeah, I'm gonna change it. Like I'm gonna legally change it after I kind of get my feet under me with things. Because again, like I do see more public spotlight with this thing, right? Because
100%, dude.
that like the only way to impact a lot of people is to get the message in front of many people as possible, and that involves a level of fame, for lack of a better term.
Yep.
Right. So
what about mom?
She has given up on the mental side. I tried to drag her kicking and screaming in a positive mental attitude for 20 years. And she's so locked into some religious shit.
Really?
That it's... Yeah.
Where's she at then?
Dude, I live in the same house with her because I moved in with her to help her after a car accident, right?
So you guys are living together right now?
I mean, I live there, but I ain't there all that much because if I was,
So what?
I would
What
be
religion?
getting pulled. She's Jehovah's Witness.
Jehovah's.
Yeah. Yeah. But and she takes it to a different level than all the rest of
She's
them.
an extremist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So
back to the Instagram thing. How's that going? And what does the engagement look like? And how many posts are you doing? And what's your end game with that?
I don't know what my end game is with it yet. I don't know. So right now I'm just growing it basically organically, right? It's I'll get story posts from Trevor or whatever that go out. I got reshared by some other account recently. Dude, Sean Henry shared me a while back.
Sean Henry.
The solar guy. I think his name's Sean Henry. Now I'm going to feel bad. He's got the fastest growing solar company in the nation, right?
Okay.
And I can't remember what it's called right now. So I'm sure I got something from that when he reshared. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And I got a comment from Wags, Aaron Wags.
Awesome.
And I was like, what the fuck? Like that is a common thing I say. Like when things happen that are outside your own narrative, right? Like even now when I'm like, oh, here's where this thing goes. There's a part of me that's not there yet, right? And so something happens that's like this next level. I'm like, what the fuck is going on in this world? I have to like process and be like, oh, okay. I'm at this new spot now. Okay. Right.
You keep leveling up, man, getting more people's attention.
Yeah.
You got a great message.
Yeah, and I'm trying to bring more of the emotion part into it, right? So at first I was just talking live into the camera and just like letting shit fall out of my head. And that's really hard because every single time I'm getting ready to turn it on, I'm like, what am I going to say? Like I'll have it perfect in my head. I hit that button, gone, right? And
It's just the way it is.
yeah, it's much easier talking like this, right? That's why I'm like, dude, if anybody's like, yeah, come do a podcast, yep, I'm
100%.
in. Yeah.
I get my message out a lot clearer when I have somebody to talk to about it.
Yeah. So at some point, I'll probably do some marketing to try to drive it a little bit. And right now, I'm just playing with it. I'm liking doing the reels where I just have.
What's the name of your Instagram?
Bobby Rones. That's it. Just easy.
BOBBYRONES.
Yeah.
And where does the name Bobby Rones come from?
Rones is my maternal parents' name.
Okay.
Sort of. Right? So it's a long story, kind of, because, dude, they came over on the boat, like my great-grandparents.
Wow.
Their original name was Snetting, right? They're Norwegian.
Norwegian.
Yeah. And whatever farmhouse or whatever, and I don't know the story real clear, right? But they came here, were working with some family, and that was the name of that family.
So and then they took on that name.
So they adopted that name.
Wow.
That's pronounced Rones. But I'm not going to run around repronouncing it forever. Like, I'm just
Actually,
like,
it's Rones.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
Yeah. I'm like, they're going to read it as Rones. I'm just going to run with it. I don't care. This is my name, right? And Bobby, look, so I heard this story about Sting, the musician.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like he was picked on and shit in school because like one day he wore like a yellow sweater or something, so they called him like Bumblebee or some stupid kid thing, right? And it hurt his feelings.
Yeah.
And so when he was like, I'm going to adopt this name Sting because I'm going to change the narrative on this thing, right? So as growing up, I had trouble stepping into myself as a man, right? And so like my family would always just call me Bobby, and I'm like, dude, stop, just Bob, right? And so when I decided to do this thing, I'm like, I'm going to reclaim Bobby, and then I'm going to do this new last name, right? So like
I love it.
when I walked in and she's like, Bobby, for a minute, my brain short-circuited, right? And I was like, oh,
Because
right.
you still go back to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depending on where I'm at, the location, where I'm feeling at the time, right?
No kidding.
So, I mean, I'm going to end up owning it. You know what I mean? So
I think for the first couple months I knew you, I just knew you as Bob.
yeah, because that's how I typically introduce myself, because that's how I've been introducing myself since I was 18
No kidding.
or 17. Yeah. Because I was like, you ain't have it, like, look, adolescence, here's part of the problem that goes on in society in general, right, with men, is because the rites of passage shit is kind of gone, right? Like, dudes taking their son hunting, or, like, we have our own things. Like, you go back thousands of years, people were always doing that, right?
Yep.
Some rite of passage. You're 13, now you're a man, and here's why, because you went through this shitty thing, right? And so, not having a father, there was none of that shit. So there was just there was just me going, I'm Bob now. I'm Bob, accept it, right? And of course, nobody did except for my friends that I met outside, right?
Yeah, that's all they knew.
Yeah.
Well, I like Bobby.
Me too.
There was a shift for me from being just Jeff or Jeffro
That's right. Yeah,
to
okay.
when I started. I had an uncle that would introduce me as Jefferson, and I didn't know what to think about it at first. Like, that's my name, but I didn't know what to think. It was kind of weird. I was still like a younger man, and that was more of like a professional name. This professional man, he's kind of one of my mentors. And then I started kind of liking it. It's like, you know what, that is my name. And when you're a Jeff, you could get lumped in with a lot of Jeffreys, which I know some great Jeffreys, but I'm not a Jeffrey.
And there ain't that many Jeffersons as their
there's
first
not.
name. Yeah.
And I got people calling me Jeffrey a lot. So there was a shift where I kind of was leaning towards being more professional and wanting to introduce myself, because as a punk-ass kid, you don't really ever introduce yourself. You're just like,
What up?
Nice to meet you. What's up?
Yeah.
No eye contact. To where it's like handshake. How you doing? My name's Jefferson. So I imagine there was some kind of a transition for you where you started to really embrace that. It's Bobby.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still going on, right? Over the last year or so.
So how often are you posting on your Instagram?
I was trying to keep it about once a day. I missed a post yesterday. But
so that's our boys over there at easier accounting have inspired me to bring somebody in to help me do that, because I'm not very good at it either.
Yeah.
And I feel like, we both have good stories, and we
Yeah.
have things to share and people that need to hear the story.
Yeah.
But I'm not very consistent
Right.
at posting. I've got so much other shit going on that's not really on the radar, which I need to have it on the radar, but it's going to take me bringing in some outside help and having some accountability and a system set up where I can get those damn posts done and accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish.
Yeah. I'm this close to bringing a tripod to the gym with me. This close. So I can get every shot I want the way I want.
Do it.
And I'm just like, am I one of those fucking guys that's running a selfie stick at the gym? Like, but then I also go back.
You are.
Yeah.
Who cares what anybody thinks?
Yeah. And
you got a story to tell.
Yeah. And like I'm constantly like, here, Trevor, get footage. Here, Trevor, get footage. Right? And he's trying to do his workout too. That's the thing I got to remember, is he shows up and puts it to it just like me. So if my lungs are on fire, if I'm recovering between sets, he's recovering too. So.
But that's what a team is for. That's what a partnership is for. You can lean on each other a little bit, and you got to have faith that that person is there to support you.
Yeah.
And it's okay to ask for some help.
Yeah, that's a learned thing, because I've been lone wolfing it for a long fucking time. Because of all the abandonment shit, I kind of don't trust people. Like I'm always like, yeah, so they're with me now, but when are they gonna fuck off? Yeah. When is that coming?
Just waiting for them to fuck me over.
Yeah.
That's not healthy.
No, I know it's not. It's something to work on.
Yep, definitely one of those things. All right, let's see here. So I did want to ask you, because we have a lot of different types of audience, a lot of different types of listeners, and people going through all kinds of different problems in their lives. And the cool thing about what we do is that we can relate to just about anybody with the problems that we're going through, the challenges that we have and we go through every single day. So what advice would you have for any type of listener that may be listening to this now or 3 years from now, once we start to really gain some notoriety and they're going back to listen to the first 4 episodes? Who's this Bobby Rones guy? What advice would you give today for somebody going through a challenging time in their life right now to help them take it to the next level?
You got to embrace it and be comfortable with it. No, or I'm sorry, be grateful for it. Embrace it and be grateful for it, right? So I get in my head a little bit when I talk about this stuff, because I'm like, I sound like one of those fucking sadist guys, right? Because I follow some guys like Goggins or whatever, and when I first hear the message, and he's like, go torture yourself, go hard, and I'm like, yeah, but then I'm also like, really though, right? And so then I kind of pull back a little bit. But the truth is, that shitty shit, look, steel is fucking forged in fire. Diamonds are made in pressure, right? So it's up 100%. To you. Are you going to let the pressure crush you, or are you going to let it turn you into something new, right? Embrace it.
People have a hard time doing that.
Yeah.
Well, mostly because just their awareness level. Now you've been through this a couple of times, and that's the benefit of being able to learn from people who have experienced it. You don't have to do everything the hard way. Yeah. If you listen to people who have accomplished things and who have gone through hard times, the success repeats itself.
Yeah.
And you got to listen for those messages, and you got to be aware enough to be able to pick those out and put them to play in your own life. Yeah.
The weightlifting is a really, really good metaphor also. Yeah. Because when you feel it, especially this CrossFit type shit, right? Like Trevor's like, look, you want to lay under some weights, you can put it up and it hurts your muscles or whatever, right? But he's like, this shit where your heart rate is jacked, he's like, that shit steals your soul.
Pouring right? Sweat.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're contemplating just leaving and checking out and not coming back.
Yeah. But what happens is when you're putting it to it, if you can, because your mind is like, just stop, and if you're like, I'm not going to stop, now you've learned some things. So was it last night or the night before? I'm sitting on the edge of my bed, as I do. Because if I'm going to write posts, that's what's happening. At the end of this long fucking day, that's when I'm like, oh God, let me get this reel out. Okay, let me, right? And it takes like an hour usually for me to do one little 30-second post because I'm so anal about like the music and so anyway, I'm sitting there and I'm like contemplating where things are going, right? And then I'm just like, holy shit, like stressing out because again, your personal narrative is shifting. You're starting to get scared about who you're becoming. Who am I now? If I'm not this thing I've always been, right? And then I'm just like, learn to love that shit too, because there's going to be plenty more of that, right?
Absolutely.
You learn to love that. Now you can go level up, right? Because it's not just, that's the thing, man. I have so many arguments with people about money because I chased fast money for a long time, right?
Yep.
And it's like, that's a fucking extrinsic thing, right? If somebody gives you a check for $1 million, you're not $1 million man, right? Which means all your happiness, all your stuff, everything is coming from the fact that you have that thing there, right? That's all ego-based shit, right? But instead, if you're working on your own shit and you build it brick by brick by brick, now you can become a person that attracts the $1 million, which means even if that goes away, it doesn't matter because it's coming right back around.
You can get it right back.
That's right.
Yep. So how has your journey changed over the last couple of years in your attainment of money?
I've given up on attaining money right now. Completely. The money is a byproduct of doing the shit. And look, I had a mentor tell me that shit 10 years ago and I didn't want to hear it. Yeah. He's like, come in, do the sales, learn to love the sales, learn. And I'm like, I don't love it. I don't love this dance. I don't. I just want to take from these people, right?
Yep.
Even when I thought I didn't, right?
Yep.
And, but now I'm like, I'm working on this tax thing and I'm going to get real good at it. And maybe I'll go in that direction and maybe I'll just help build this thing and that'll be cool. And maybe in 3 years I'll be off on another thing and that'll be cool too. But right now, whatever I'm doing, I'm going to just level up that skill. Everything I'm doing, I'm like, let's just get better at this thing. And then everything else I'm going to get as a result of getting better at the thing.
Absolutely. Yep. That's an important thing to remember.
Yeah. Nobody wants to hear it, though.
Nobody wants to hear it.
Nobody wants to hear it.
All the toughest things.
Yeah. It seems like so many of the, like, what's your secret? Like, there's not one that you're going to like. This all involves soul searching.
There's no secret.
Yeah.
It all takes hard work,
yeah.
dedication.
Yeah.
And it's pretty impressive what you're doing, man. And I'm glad that I get to kind of be a part of the journey with you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Look, I don't know if everyone gets it entirely, but going into a gym is genuinely intimidating, especially if you're like the fat guy, right?
Yeah.
I had to really embrace that, especially at Summit. Now, in some ways, over where we're at now at Fitness Culture, in some ways it's more intimidating, but in some ways it's less.
Right.
Because it's not like people halfway. Dude, everybody there's a I was looking around one day, and I was like, everyone here's a high performer. Either high performer athletically or high performer financially.
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Yes. Or both, right? And I'm like, what? Why? And then Trevor's like, well, okay, first the time that we're here, right?
Because that's a special group remember. At 5 o'clock in the morning.
That's right. Everyone's there to hit it. And the shit costs more.
Yep.
Right? Everyone's like, oh, it costs double. Like, good. Like, get rid of the riffraff. I don't want to climb over people when I'm trying to do this thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it is intimidating a little bit because I look around. And fortunately, there's you and Alex, which I don't know him well, but I'm like, look, dude, he's cool with Trevor. He was on the podcast, so like he's cool by me, right? And there's Kaysen, and then there's that group of kids that like they're not kids, they're grown people, but they feel like playground kids, right? Like Danny, like I feel like being like, what's in your lunchbox today, buddy? Like. It's just so much fun that they bring to it, right?
Absolutely.
But then there's also like people going hard as fuck, and so I'm like, oh Jesus Christ, like the cool kids. Yeah.
Yep, there's some stuff going on in there, but it's a little more laid back. There's not as many people. You're not fighting over weights and stuff that you're trying to do. I really like it over there.
I like it. I like it a lot.
It's a good environment.
Yeah.
And it's pretty impressive how consistent you've been over the last couple of months since I first started seeing you coming in there, and now. I know what your goal is,
Yeah.
I've got it on my calendar.
Yeah.
And we're going to do this thing together.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, this has been phenomenal. I appreciate you coming on. What'd you think?
I mean, it's cool. Like, yeah.
We got to get some cool stories out.
Yeah.
Share some advice.
Yeah.
We've got, the goal with the Jefferson Rogers podcast is to reach out to those people that may be going through something hard right now. And it's going to be so many different paths that people are on.
Yeah.
But where I was 3 years ago, kind of lost, dealing with addiction, knowing that I had a lot of potential that was unrealized yet, and that this addiction problem that I had was going to keep me from accomplishing some of those things and reaching my true potential. And you never know where the message is going to come from and when you're going to be ready to hear the message. And this podcast is for those people that might be in one of those transitional moments in their life, and their uncomfortableness of being in those places has gotten to a place now they're ready for a message.
Yeah.
And it just might come from you, or it just might come from me, and we can change one person's life and maybe keep them from doing something stupid.
Yeah.
Or maybe just have some kind of a role in whether they end up at the same job for 30 years doing the same thing and being miserable, or becoming a multimillionaire because they got out of their comfort zone. They started doing things that they didn't think that they would ever be capable of doing because they had some exposure to other people doing it, and that ingrains belief and confidence.
There's a few people, well, I'll tell them, I'm like, listen, I'll fucking change your world. And I can say it with confidence because I have changed my own a few times, right?
100%.
And also there's some of these other people that I try to coach, and I'm like, dude, it's possible. Dude, believe me. Just engage. Just engage over a period of time, because it's real nice on the other side. And I'm not even all the way on the other side yet.
But it feels pretty damn good to know how far you've come.
Oh, damn. Dude, I was texting Trevor a couple months back when I'm like, dude, my dreams are fucking coming true, bro. Like, they're coming true for real, you know? And
getting the chicken skin, dude. I love that.
Everyone can.
Everybody.
They just have to engage, even when they think it's not working out. Do you? I've had weights, right? And I'm like, are you sure this is doing something, Trevor? Right? Because I don't want to believe that the pain is for something, right?
Yeah.
You know? And it's that way with everything you're doing.
Yep.
Like when you're waking up at 4 a.m, you're like, fuck, is it worth it? Everyone else is telling me I'm stupid. Why am I trying? Like,
yep.
Don't let everybody else tell you
It's
what the
worth
fuck
it.
you can and can't do.
It's worth it. And it's personalities like ours, we want things to happen fast.
Oh, yeah.
Like, why can't this happen faster? I'm
Yeah.
doing all the right things. I'm going to the gym. I'm eating right. Doesn't seem like anything's happened, or it's not happening as fast as I wanted to. The same thing happened to me as I'm trying to become a leader and a business owner and earn a high income. It's like it couldn't happen fast enough.
Yeah.
But now I look back after 5 years of just doing little things consistently and getting better at my consistency and my discipline with, family and health and personal development. And I hardly even recognized that dude 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's gone by just like that.
Yeah.
You
Well,
got to start somewhere, though.
that's the thing. You have to become. That's it. You don't get the thing unless you become. And if you get the thing before you became, then it's not a blessing. It just is in your way.
And I've gotten a little taste of that too, because then you don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And because you haven't got the discipline and the consistency and the momentum of having to put that work in, it is so easy to revert back to the same patterns. And I did that to myself a couple of times. And now it's set in stone. And I'm not anywhere near where I want to be, but I feel like my dreams are coming true.
Yeah.
I'm writing my goals down, and I'm checking those things off the list.
Yeah.
And one by one, I'm putting myself in a position to become a better version of myself every single day. And it's possible for anybody.
It's possible, dude.
Yep. Well, Bobby, it's been a fantastic episode. I appreciate you coming on. Everybody, go on and like and subscribe. Go follow Bobby Rones at Bobby Rones. check out the Jefferson Rogers podcast on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We are now on just about every, what do you call it?
Platform.
Every streaming service and platform you can think of, you can find the Jefferson Rogers podcast. And we're looking to bring as much value as possible and touch as many people's lives as possible. So thank you for checking in. And until next time, good evening and good night.